video is on percentages. So percentages per, out of, and cent 100. For maybe some of you Frenchies out there, cent is 100 in French, so that's how we remember that. So percentages is all about out of 100. Okay, so there are a few different types of questions they might ask you. I'm just going to go through these different types, explain what they are, how to work them out, and with some examples and some examples? Yeah. Okay, so we'll start with the first one, number 1, which is a question, find X% of Y. Now to work these ones out, you've got your value X, percent is out of 100, so divide it by 100, and the of you multiply by Y. So that's the general formula on how to work these out. If we just put some numbers in, have an example, so we could say, e.g., find 23% of £68. So what do we do here? 23%, 23 out of 100 of times, and then £68. And that equals £15.64. Okay, so these can, however, be written out in a bit of a more wordy way. So I'll just do a more wordy example so you can see that. Okay, so a shopkeeper had 140 puppies. He sold 60% of puppies for £50 and 40% at 2 for £75. How much did 140 puppies sell for? Worth, because we're talking about puppies. Okay, so how do we work this out? First of all, we've got to find out how many of each puppies he had. So 60% of puppies for £50, 60% of the puppies. So we have 140 in total, so we've got 60% of 140. Using that formula, 60%, 60 over 100 of times 140 equals 84 puppies. So that's at one price, at £50. How many puppies do we have at the other price? So we've got 40% of the puppies, so of 140. Again, 40 over 100 times 140 equals 56 puppies. Okay, and then just to work out the price, we then have to add in the values of how much they cost. So you've got 84 puppies at £50, and then the next ones, we're selling these puppies in pairs, so at 2 for £75. So you're going to have 56 divided by 2 times 75, because you're only selling them in pairs, but that's the price you're selling them. And overall that equals £6,300. There you go. So a little bit more complicated, but yeah, very manageable. Finally, just a quick exam question. So this is taken off an exam paper, and this is the most basic form, so hopefully, yeah. So work out 45% of 800, so that's, you don't have to pull that out of anything, it's just telling you what it wants to do. So 45 out of 100 times 800 equals 360. Okay, so that's type 1, find X% of Y. So find a new amount after a percentage increase or decrease. So the formula for this one is original times by multiplier. Original times multiplier. Okay, so you have to work out how to find the multiplier. So for example, say we've got a 5% increase. You're going to have 1 for the 100% plus 5%, which is 5 over 100. So that equals 1.05. And that's your multiplier. Because it's an increase, you know it's always going to be greater than 1. So if we have a 31% decrease, that is going to equal 1 minus 31 over 100, which equals 0.69. And because it's a decrease, the multiplier is going to be less than 1, which it is, you can see. Okay, so now let's do an example of these types of questions. Okay, so a kettle is £34.50 excluding VAT. VAT is 20%. What is the price of the toaster including VAT? So here the VAT is 20%. So step 1, we've got to find our multiplier. So it's a 20% increase. So we're going to have a 1 plus 20 over 100. So our multiplier is equal to 1.2. And to finish off, we just do our original, which is £34.50, times by our multiplier, and that gives you the answer of the kettle. Okay, so perfect. And now I'm just going to go through an exam question, which is very similar, but this one's been taken off an actual paper. Okay, so Wayne bought an engagement ring for Tracy. Oh, cute. The total cost of the ring was £420 plus VAT at 17.5%. Work out the cost of the ring. We're going to have an engagement ring there for visuals. Okay, so we've got VAT in the question again, so we're looking for a multiplier. It's got plus VAT at 17.5%. So our multiplier here is 17.5%, and it's plus, so it's an increase. So we're going to have, I'll just write down multiplier, 1 plus 17.5 over 100, 1.175. So that's our multiplier, and then we just do the original times by the multipliers. Shorten it to multi is £420 times 1.1 equals £493.50. So there we go, that's an exam question of type 2. So now we're going to move on to type 3. Okay, type 3 is express x as a percentage of y. So the formula for this is to divide x by y, then multiply by 100. So written down, that's x over y times 100. So this is the standard formula for this sort of question. So putting some numbers into that, for example, if we have 300 as a percentage of 620. This is going to equal, we've got 300 divided by 620 times by 100. 48.4%. Okay, now I'm going to do an exam question based on this. Okay, so we're back to Wayne and his exciting engagement. So Wayne invited 96 people to an engagement party. Only 60 people of the invited came to the party. Don't know if that's a great turnout, don't think so, feel sorry for Wayne. Express 60 as a percentage of 96. So express 60 over 96 times 100. This is just following x divided by y times 100. 60 is x, 96 is y. That equals 62.5%. So that's an exam question. Now I'm just going to do another example of that sort of question that's a bit more like a story or something that you have to pull the information out of. Okay, so there are 202 pupils in a year. 52% are girls, 29 girls have boyfriends. What percentage of the girls have boyfriends? Okay, so we start with, we want to find out how many girls are in the year. So we've got, say, number, well that's just a notation for number, girls in the year. So 52% of 202. So this is type 1 at the moment, which was 52 over 100 times 202. 105.04. Okay, and so then then we want to write out the number of girls with boyfriends. So x is the number of girls with boyfriends, that's 29. As a percentage of girls, the number of girls is 105.04 times by 100 equals 27.6%. Okay, so type 4 is the percentage change type. Now there's a nice easy formula to follow for this, so I'm just going to write that down now. So the formula is that the percentage change equals the change divided by the original and times by 100. And the way you might see that it's a percentage change type of question is that in the question it will ask you to find the answer as a percentage. So I'm just going to go through some exam questions now in this type of percentage question. Okay, so these questions can be quite wordy, so we'll go through it now. So Bytes is a shop that sells computers and digital cameras. In 2003, Bytes sold 620 computers. In 2004, Bytes sold 708 computers. Work out the percentage increase in number of computers sold. And in this particular question, you had to write your answer, and they'd already put a percentage sign in. So they've asked you to work out a percentage increase. You're working out a percentage, and so it's going to be the percentage change type. So the first thing to do is write down the formula we just went through, which was change. So change divided by original times 100. So here the change has gone from 620 computers to 708. So our change is going to be 708 minus 620. So that's the difference between the two numbers. Our original is how many it sold in 2003, so the smaller number, which is 620, and we times by 100. And that gives us 14.2% to 3 significant figures. Okay, so now I'm going to go through another one. Okay, so this example is very similar to the first example, set out in a slightly different way, so a bit less wordy. So the table shows the number of mobile phones sold in a shop in April and May. So here's the table. You've got April sold 85, May 91. Work out the percentage increase in number of phones sold from April to May. So percentage increase, we're going to write down the formula again. Change divided by original times 100. Now our change here is the difference between the phones sold in April and in May. So that's the difference between 91 and 85. Our original number is the number of phones sold in April. So that's a smaller number of 85, and we times that by 100. And that gives us 7.06%. Okay, so our final type of percentage question is finding the original value. Now these ones can seem quite tricky, but if you just follow these 3 steps I'm going to go through now, should be absolutely fine. The 3 steps, the first step is to write out percentage of original. Second step is to divide to find 1%. And the final step is multiply by 100, and that's to find 100%. Okay, so now I'm just going to go through an example. Okay, so a house increases in value by 10.5% to £132,600. Find what it was worth before the rise. So we're finding what it was worth before the rise. So we know we're going to be looking at finding an original value before an increase took place. Okay, so we've followed the steps we went through before. The first step was to write out the amount as a percentage of the original value. So this is similar to working out the multiplier. We've got an increase of 10.5%. So the value we've got is actually 100% plus 10.5%. So that equals 110.5%. So the second part is Second part is to find 1% of the value we've got. So 1%, the value divided by this percentage here. Okay, and the last part is to multiply by 100. And there you have it, there's your answer. So those are the 3 steps. Just follow them really rigidly and you should be able to get, or you will definitely get to the right answer. That's the end of percentages.